Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Joe Emilio Show. I'm your host, Joe Emilio, and in today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about a few things, and the things we're going to talk about are: there is a new bill that may have very bad implications for citizens in South Africa. AfriForum has been given appeal, yes, and later on in the show, ladies and gentlemen, at 8 p.m., I'm joined by a South African farmer who's going to tell us why EWC is the least of our worries. All this and a lot more coming right up. Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fine evening? It is a beautiful Cape Town evening, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit chilly, but that's okay. Things are warming up. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it is getting a little bit warmer now in South Africa as we look at spring is about to set in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very much looking like spring is my favorite time in South Africa, or at least in the Western Cape. It is so beautiful. The temperature is just right. And it puts you in a good mood, right? And I can tell that spring is starting because my sinuses are acting up. Got a little bit of allergies. I don't know why. I don't normally get it, but sometimes I do. So if I sound a bit nasally,
If I sound a little bit nasally, now you know why.
So yeah, and sorry if I sniff. I am medicated, but this one's a rough one. Not gonna lie, sometimes my nose hurts. Anyway, how are you guys doing? Already some people in the chats. As always, Gavin Comer is in the chats. Hello, Gavin. How are you? Anti-Marxist is here. Umlungu is becoming a regular as well. How are you, Umlungu? I hope you're doing well. Umlungu and everybody else, don't forget that you can become a member and have exclusive perks just for you because you're a member to this channel. So please consider becoming a member. It's from as little as $60 a month. That's it. And you get to support the channel and help me do things and create things and keep me going. Other than that, if you're feeling generous, if you want to support in other ways, don't forget that you can also spare a super chat or sasa chat, as Cyril Ramaphosa calls it on this channel. And you know what? If you don't have any cash, I know times are tough. You know, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Greatly appreciated. And don't forget to hit that like button as well. It really helps the show get out there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who might be watching for the first time, this is a 2-hour show. First hour, you get to hang out with me, your host. Second hour is when my guest joins. And tonight, as I mentioned earlier, it is Herman Roos, a South African farmer. He's a tobacco farmer, but he also farms other things. I've been to his farm, beautiful place. We will be talking about why he thinks EWC is not a reason to stress in South Africa, which, I mean, from a South African farmer is quite shocking. But I will also say this. I think what he has to say is very interesting, a little bit worrying, and I'm very excited to have him on the show. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you know, if you're watching this, you don't have time to watch it later, or there's load shedding later, don't worry. You know, I always upload my shows or my interviews on their own, so you can catch the 1-hour interview on its own later on. I may be able to upload it, tomorrow or definitely the day after. Within the week, basically, within a few short days, you will be able to watch. You'll be able to watch the interview on its own, and I just want to show you guys that already the show from last night. Where I had Gideon, Hubert, and Paratis on the show. You can see there, it's 1 hour, not a 2-hour thing. You can catch it under this playlist or podcast playlist, which is also here. You can see there's where all the 1-hour interviews are. If you just want to watch the interview itself, then you go to that playlist, the podcast playlist. You can catch all the interviews that I've had on this show in 1-hour format. Also under the VIPs, those are the very important people that I've interviewed. As you can see, there's Ernest Ritz there, and some other pretty famous people, as well as Barry Hilton, I've had on the show, and I might have him back soon as well. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, please go check out those playlists if you want to quickly just watch and you don't have time for the 2 hour show, at least you can watch the 1 hour show. I make it easy for you guys. You see what I mean? I make it so easy for people to be able to watch and catch up. So when you have time, ladies and gentlemen, over the weekend or whatever, you have nothing else to watch, then give it a squiz. It's a very interesting conversation I had with Gideon and Ian about gun laws in South Africa. And, you guys were great, those that were watching last night, asking really good questions that I found very interesting and clarifying just quite a few things about South African gun law. So I encourage people to go watch it. It's a very good episode. We also touch on some crime stats and farm murders, as well as other topics, and the DNA backlog. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Gavin has been graciously and ferociously giving links in the chats. He's given my Telegram open group. Don't forget, there's a Telegram open group, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone can join that Telegram group. Link in the description or in the chats. You can also follow my journey, ladies and gentlemen, where I am trying to lose 25 kilograms in 6 months. That's 182 days. So I'm trying to do 182 days of gymming. I am on day 32 today. And I also have a few mini challenges along this journey. One is that I'm busy with now is I'm doing 4 weeks, 5 times a week. So I go to gym 5 times a week in 4 weeks. So week 1, week 2, week 3, I've done 5 times. I went 5 times, 5 times, 5 times. This is the 4th week I'm in, and I've done 2 so far. Definitely going to go tomorrow after and after. So I try and go Monday to Friday. And hopefully get to day 35 by the end of this week. And then I'll see, because I'm going to do a body assessment, guys, at the end of this week. I'm cock nervous about it. Body assessment is when they measure everything, like your body fat, your visceral fat, all that stuff. They weigh you get your muscle mass, all that stuff. So I'm really hoping there's going to be a little bit of progress. I'm hoping for the percentage of fat to go down. If that happens, I am extremely happy. Even if it's like 0.5%, I'll be like, yes. But yeah, so if you want more information or if you want to follow my journey, please check out that link that Gavin has shared, or go to the link in the description where it says Joe's Journey, and you can get more. I like post almost every day on that TikTok profile, letting people know how I'm doing, what exercises I'm doing, and so on and so forth. I respond to questions as well. So yeah, please go give that a squiz if you're interested. Clay Wilson, haven't seen you in a while, buddy. How are you? Saying hi, everyone. Anyone else suffering from loadshedding blues? Yes, I think a lot of people are. And then I think I've okay, Umlungu saying I've always been here, just a tiny little name change. Oh, okay. Sorry, Umlungu. All right, so let's see here. Also sharing comedians was the headlines. Thank you, Gavin. Do go check that out. It's a lot of fun. We actually got a few new subs on that channel. I'm very excited. We're almost going to hit 100, which is great. So yeah. You're gonna ace it, Joe. You're putting in the hours. Oh, thanks, man. Well, there's nothing really to ace. I just want to see progress, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. My clothes do feel looser, which is always a good sign. And I'll just keep on going, man. It's just so demotivating when I look at the mirror, because I do have a tummy, but let's not like beat around the bush here. I know I'm fat, and this is why I'm doing something about it. And to look at the mirror almost every morning and see that round belly, it's so demotivating. Like, people this week have been telling me they've seen a difference. My wife says she sees a difference. Even my trainer yesterday was like, or today actually, he was looking at my back, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm seeing your back is getting like in shape or whatever. And I'm just like, I just don't see it, man. Like, thanks, obviously, but I just don't see it. But anyway, I know it's a long-term thing, and you just got to keep on going, and that's what I'm doing. And that's why I said 182 days. At least let me get to that goal. But as I was saying, a mini goal. So one of the mini goals, like I said, was the 4 weeks, 5 days a week for 4 weeks. After that's done, I don't know if I'll go 5 days a week after the 4 weeks. I know that that will be the most I've ever gone to gym consecutively. I've always, like, when I start gym or gymming, like, I've always like been on and off a gym. And usually when I start, I'm like, okay, I'll do 2 weeks, 5 times a week, right? Now I'm like, okay, let's just try 4 weeks, 5 times a week. And it's been rough, man. It's been really, really rough. So I might take a break for a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks, just go 3 times a week, and then do it again. I don't know. I'll see. But I'm doing this mini goal, which I'm trying to reach that goal. And then the other goal, ladies and gentlemen, is I've sorted out a date. At the end of November, I will be climbing Lion's Head to prove to myself, to motivate myself, and to see the difference in my body, like to experience it. I'm probably not gonna lose the 25K that I want to lose by the end of November, and that's fine. It's more just to see, have I made progress yet? Is my body more in shape? Am I fitter than I was a year ago? Whatever. Because let me tell you, I'm not a hiking person. I don't like hiking. I hate hiking. Don't ask me to go hiking. It's not a pastime I want to do. But I will try it to see if I have progressed. And I think that will also be a good motivator if I make it to the top of Lion's Head, to motivate me to continue to go for the rest of the 182 days, whatever days are left, to keep on pushing myself and get even more fit and get more exercise. So yeah, I like how Clay Wilson says, hiking helped me lose weight. I'm not gonna hike all the time, but I'll try. Come work with me for a week. You'll lose at least 1.5 Backstreet Boys. Okay. Round is a shape. Yeah, that's an old joke. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the plan. Those are the two mini goals that I have going at the moment. And we'll see what happens next, ladies and gentlemen. So far, I'm feeling good. I am feeling good. The sinuses are not helping, though. It's clogging up in my nose. I'm definitely not sick, but it's so annoying. But anyway, let's get into some of the topics. I feel like I've forgot to mention something, but if it comes to me, I'll mention it. Anyway, let's get into some of the topics for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with me this evening. All right, so I think one of the big things, I just got a message from DRSA, and I told Rob I'd mention this in the show because I think it's quite important to mention. Interesting things happening, man. Interesting things happening. Here's South African government once again, and the link to this campaign, ladies and gentlemen, is in the description. So please give your comment. I think it's quite important. I'm just going to read what it says here. The Portfolio Committee on Police invites you to comment on the Protection of Constitutional Democracy Against Terrorist and Related Activities Amendment Bill. All right, so that sounds like a noble thing, right? I mean, when you read it like that and just read the headline, you're like, yeah, sure, of course. Who doesn't want to protect the country against terrorism, right? But you got to read the fine print, right? Because, and this is opinion, okay, the amendment sets a broad definition of terrorist activity. Okay, that's a bit alarming. And there's no single international agreed upon definition of terrorism. This is true. The broad definition, is problematic, as it would enable the states to criminalize any citizen who supports one side of a controversial topic, or those who criticize or challenge the government's policies or legislation, as encouragement or indirect facilitation of terrorism. Now, when I saw this and read this for the first time, some of you might remember I had Rob Hutchinson on my show a few months ago when Dearest A was fighting the health amendments, the amendments to the Health Act, right? And there was, at one point, the health minister came out, the ANC came out, and said that Dearest A, AfriForm, and all these other organizations that are involved in this campaign to stop the amendments to the Health Act are terrorists. They actually called Dearest A and all these other organizations terrorist groups or an act of treason or whatever. They worded it in a certain way to imply that Dearest A, AfriForm, and all these other organizations are acting in a terroristic way against the Health Amendment Act. Now, if this bill was to go through that I just read to you, that would mean that all these civil organizations that do kick up a fuss would be unable to fight for us. And again, this is an opinion, but I think it's correct. If we continue on reading a little bit here, the bill seeks to delete, amend, and insert certain definitions for purpose of alignment with international instruments adopted upon the implementation of the Act. Provide for offenses related to terrorist training and the joining and establishment of terrorist organizations. That's okay. Offenses related to foreign travel and attempt to leave Republic under certain circumstances. That's a very broad definition, but okay. Offenses in respect to the possession and distribution of publications with unlawful terrorism-related content. Okay, but now, what is terrorism-related content, right? Like, we got to define that. You can't just say, oh, okay, because then you can say anything. You can say propaganda against you is terrorism-related conduct. Like, what? You got to define that. Provide for authorization to be obtained from the Director of Public Prosecutions in respect of the investigation and prosecution of certain offenses. Okay. Provide for the issuing of warrants for search and cordoning off of vehicles, persons, and premises. See, this sounds good if someone is involved in a terroristic plan. But you got to define this stuff, man. You got to define, like, just because you think something is terrorism-related content, right? That could be anything, and and then you have a warrant, and people they can search your car, they can search your home, they can search anything just because they think you like this channel. Like right now, with how loose this definition is, I could be regarded as a terrorist, guys. This is how intense and ridiculous this thing is. Provide for direction requiring the disclosure of a description, key, and the effect of a direction to disclose. Yeah, okay, so basically they can get your passwords. Provide for the removal or making inaccessible publications with unlawful terrorism-related content, and to provide for more matters of connection within. Yeah, okay, so they want to know more about your terroristic dealings, which is good, but again, definitions are important here, and I do think that this opinion has a point here, and I am going to have Rob, I'm going to interview Rob in a pre-recorded interview. I will ask him about this bill during that interview as well, and he'll shed some more light on this, but I think it's very important that we sign this one. I'm going to sign it after the show. I was literally just giving it was on 109, now it's on 132, so people are signing this. I would encourage everybody to go to the link in the description right now and sign it. It is some scary stuff, again, because this is just censorship now. Whatever you say against the ANC can be labeled as terroristic related content. And yeah, that's just bull. And I think some of the politicians should be worried, because I mean the DA could be labeled as a terroristic organization now. That if this bill was to come through. So everybody should get on board with this. Everybody should comment. This is an incitement against free speech. And while I do encourage the government to always try and protect its citizens against terroristic activities, this is taking it a bit too far because there's no clear definitions, and that is a very dangerous situation to be on when you when you have very vague definitions. It can mean anything, and we all know that the ANC likes to play games and twist words and all that stuff. So let me just see what some of you guys are saying. Thank you, Gavin, for sharing the link. So let's see. ANC cannot write legislation. Yeah. South Africa doesn't have constitutional democracy. It has a communist democracy, otherwise known as democracy. Yeah. I just signed the bill. Thank you, Gavin, for signing the bill. And terrorists are parliament. So careful, you're going to be now labeled a terrorist if this bill comes through. You can't say that. So, yeah. Oh, we all know this. Again, you know, these comments, guys, you know, if the ANC was to see this, terrorist. Yeah. No, and I will too, man. I mean, yesterday I was talking about that whole new smoking thing, regulations on smoking, which is also ridiculous. But anyway, all right. So let me just adjust this a little bit because we've got to. There we go. Just wanna boom. There we go. That's better. Yeah. So. There you go. What else can I? Oh yeah. So next topic is a fun one, and fun because we're finally going to see. Well, let me be careful with how I word this. We're seeing some aspects of the justice system working correctly, if I can put it that way. So for those of you who may not know yet, very exciting times. Let's see, where is it? AfriForum has, breaking news, AfriForum has received leave to appeal the Kill the Boer judgment in our case against Malema. The judge found that AfriForum made out a case that there are reasonable prospects of success on appeal. Thank you to our legal team led by Advocate Jeremy Gauntlet, SC. So yeah, that's what's happening at the moment. They got their appeal, ladies and gentlemen, in short and sweet. I want to read what the judge or what the appeal says. It says, applying the test for leave of appeal as envisaged in Section 17 of the Superior Court Act, I am satisfied that the application has made out a case that there are reasonable prospects of success on appeal. This matter, in my view, has elements of public interest, and thus leave to appeal deserves to be granted to the Supreme Court of Appeal. Order. In circumstances, the following order is made. Application to the Supreme Court of Appeal is granted. Costs to be costs in the appeal. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. AfriForum has won their appeal or request to appeal. And then something interesting happened. But before I get to that, I want to show you guys, Kali can be really funny. But before I get to that, I did reach out to Ernst van Zyl from AfriForum. He is the AfriForum's campaign officer. And I reached out to him to comment. And this is what he told me so far, and this is what he can tell me, so we can have a listen here.
The Equality Court today granted leave to appeal in AfriForum's Kill the Boer hate speech case against the EFF and Julius Malema. This application came after the Equality Court declared in August that the chant Kill the Boer is not hate speech. The thing is, this result is very important and of great importance, seeing as a message must be sent loud and clear that chants that incite violence are unacceptable and will have consequences. Today's decision is only a single step forward in AfriForum's great fight against the incitement of violence against farmers and minority groups. And we will keep the public up to date as to when we will appear in the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ernst van Zyl himself giving a bit of a comment. Thank you, Ernst, for that lovely comment. And there you have it, as you heard from Ernst van Zyl, that they will keep the public updated when this Court of Appeal will take place, or when the appeal will take place. I mean, we all know that that judgment was just god-awful. But here's the funny part, and I think Kali has a way of being savage, man. So I want to show you guys a tweet from Julius Malema himself, which I think, well, just follow me on this. All right, so Julius tweeted, "I'm happy you took my advice and fired your incompetent first lawyer. I'm going to defeat you again, boys." Then he speaks some, I don't know what language it is, and then AfriForum with a kiss. And then Callie actually commented and said, "I never got to thank you for the 500,000 Rand you and the EFF had to pay us for cost orders in the 3 cases you lost against us. We really put your money to good use to promote our just cause. You are one of our biggest funders." I really hope you did not use the VBS loot to pay us. Oh man, that's funny. That is funny. And just to prove that he's not making this up, he gave a link as well. This is a link from 2019, but it is true. The AfriForum, I mean, there it is, the headline, AfriForum to use EFF's money to fight EFF in court. That's poetic justice, man. So there we go. The payments to AfriForum by the EFF related to punitive cost orders that stemmed from a court battle in 2017 when AfriForum was granted an interdict, the costs that prohibited the EFF from inciting the people to legally occupy or trespass land, blah, blah, blah. Earlier this week, the EFF paid their third cost order amounting to 109,000 Rand, AfriForum said in a statement. The latest payment pertains to an order, blah, blah, blah. This payment by Malema and EFF follows AfriForum legal team placed them on terms. This means that Malema's estimated amount of 340 said in a statement. According to AfriForum, this is the third of 5 cost orders, and the enforcement of the last 2 orders had been put on hold. So it is estimated that the 5 orders amount to 550,000. Said that the money paid by the EFF would be used to oppose attempts to amend the country's constitution to make expropriation without compensation possible. AfriForum welcomes the payments, and we will now fight Malema and the EFF on their with their own money. Yeah, so AfriForum welcomes the payments and will now fight Malema and the EFF with their own money. I just wanted to read that again because I think it was cut off. But that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Ah, man, it's so good. I mean, well done. Well done, Callie. Well done. I mean, I can't. This is beautiful, man. It's flipping fantastic. So, there you go. So yeah, and this is also important to mention because some people think that they had an aha moment, if I can put it that way, because this one said, in the recent case you lost against the EFF, what was the cost order? None now that the appeal has been granted. So yeah, they don't have to pay anything now that the appeal has been granted. Also, that judgment, when you appeal something in the courts, that judgment is basically doesn't exist. There is no judgment. So it's put on hold, basically, until the appeal process is complete. So basically, when the judge said that he doesn't see that Julius Malema has committed hate speech or incitement to violence or whatever, well, now that judgment is null and void until the appeal is met. I will obviously have Ernst or a member from AgriForum on the show as we get closer to this. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, coming up, I think next week, Monday, let me just double check that quickly. I do believe it is next week, Monday. Yes, it is. Next week, Monday, ladies and gentlemen, I will be having Mark Oppenheimer on the show. We'll probably be talking about this case as well as the other case, the assault case that Julius Malema was recently found not guilty on. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about hate speech, and we'll be talking about EWC Bill and a lot of other things. Very much looking forward to that conversation with Mark Oppenheimer next week, Monday. It is coming. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it that I wanted to share with you. Those are the main big headlines. Of course, load shedding stage 4 just implemented in the late hours of, late afternoon hours of South Africa, and a lot of people reeling on the last moment change to stage 4. A lot of people are upset. I can see stage 4 is trending on Twitter because it was so last moment and we seem to have been out of the woods, but apparently not. As I've mentioned on the show before, a lot of the people that are involved with ESCOM and the ministers of the ANC have been saying, expect load shedding for a while. And so far, we've had load shedding for I think 3 weeks straight now. It's gonna be an interesting ride, ladies and gentlemen. And again, my heart goes out to all the business owners that are struggling at this point, and not just business owners, but also South Africans. It's tough for people out there at the moment, and we are in a bit of a crisis, not to say the least, for many reasons. But yeah, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's really all I had to chat about. So if you guys have any questions for me, if you want to ask something, then we can chat about it. But yeah, I thought that Callie was pretty funny. Beautiful, actually. Anyway, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, also coming up this Thursday is Comedians Roast the Headlines. So it's after tomorrow. You don't want to miss out on that. Some pretty cool headlines coming up, as well as a special guest. Paul Lee will be joining one of the up and comers of South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. He is going to be joining us that evening. And that's pretty much it. If you're in the Cape Town area, ladies and gentlemen, next to Kells River, I am doing an open mic night, stand-up comedy open mic night this Friday. If you want to come and hang out and watch the show, it's a very interesting show. It's open mic night, so you never know what you're going to get. But it's always a lot of fun, I can say that. And you might be pleasantly surprised by the talent that exists in Cape Town. So please, make it date night, come have some fun. It's a very chilled atmosphere. It's very relaxed. Come have some fun with us at the DNA Cafe stand-up comedy open mic night this Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Go check it out. Tickets available on Quicket, as always. And I don't have a link for it in the description because I didn't think I was going to promote that. But I thought I would just mention it. If you follow me or go to my website, it's linked in the description. You'll find open mic at the top there, and you just click on it. All the information is there. You can get tickets, all that stuff, link to the tickets. It's all there. So That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are about 25 minutes away from Herman Roos joining us on the show to chat about EWC, why South Africans should not be worried about EWC. It should be the least of your worry. Going to be a very interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to having that conversation. Yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts. How do you guys feel about the appeal from AfriForum? Do you think there's a good chance? I already saw one comment here saying it will fail again. They're just keeping AfriForum busy. Well, we'll see. I mean, at some point, it has to get the correct judgment. I mean, you can't tell me that that's not incitement to violence. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't. You'll never convince me otherwise. You'll never convince me that it's just a song. You'll never convince me that it doesn't mean anything. And this is something that we touched on last night with Ian and Gideon. Ian made a point to say that there is no proof or stats that to link farm murders to something political. There isn't. And that's just fact. I mean, one could argue Ernst Ritt's book and stuff like that, and I'm sure there are moments, and I'm sure there are instances, like Ian said, there are one or two, maybe three, a few that are related to politics. Like, they'll spray, kill the Boer on the thing, but not every one of them. And Ian has seen a lot of these farm murders. He was very much involved. Actually, Ian's seen a lot of horrible stuff. I don't know how that man is sane. But he's a very, very strong man. But he said himself, let's not try and politicize this issue. It's a big issue. There is attacks. There is horrible attacks that happens in South Africa, and they need to be dealt with. Does the correlation between kill the Boer, chanting that, lead to more attacks? It's up for debate. I don't think, but from what he's saying from his point of view, from what he's seen, no, not necessarily. However, we don't have proper stats. The only stat that kind of, and I can't even call it a stat. I think I can maybe say it's a bit of an opinion, is Theo from Psy. That I've had him on my show before. I think his name is Theo Diarger. Yes, here he is. He put out a tweet recently, and again, there's no. I don't think there's enough evidence to support what he's saying here. I have to be very careful. It's not that he doesn't have evidence. I think there needs to be a proper investigation into these claims, and I think there is a proper investigation being made. But you do have to also wonder if this is coincidence or if there is a relation. So I'm just putting the information out there. I'm leaving it up to you guys to decide what you think is the possibility, and you can let me know in the chats, in the live chat here. But basically, Theo Diarger saying that after 7 farm murders in August and 8 in September, AfriForum has been granted leave to appeal the ruling judgment, blah, blah, kill the Boer, farmer, blah, blah, is not hate speech. AfriForum mag, okay, sorry, that's Afrikaans. So that's the one thing I wanted to show you. The other thing I wanted to show you is somewhere here. Okay, here. In one of 3 violent farm attacks, I have to be careful what I read because YouTube might flag me. Here. So there's a definite spike in both the number of farm murders and the brutal torture of farmers after Judge Edwin ruled that the song Kill the Farmer, Kill the Boer is not hate speech, and the EFF commenced to singing it outside the courthouse. So that's his opinion. And all he's saying is that there is a spike in the number of farm murders and the brutal torture of farm attacks. And it just so happens to be after this ruling. Now, again, we have to be very careful with what we say. Because, again, Ian coming out and saying, it's not always related to Julius Malema. There are other factors to take into account, and it's not every time that the song is sung someone gets killed. Crime is bad in South Africa, blah blah. And that's his take on it. I tend to kind of be a bit in the middle here, because songs like that are dangerous, and Ian agreed and said this. No matter what the truth of the argument is in terms of, does that song cause people to kill other people, that's not the point. The point is you shouldn't be allowed to sing songs like that of any group. All right, and we discussed this last night. Any group that is singled out and you call for death upon them is wrong. It is just wrong. We shouldn't be doing that. We're in 2022. We've moved past this. We should have moved past this, and that's where I think we all agree that regardless of the song having an effect on people to go and kill or not kill, the song itself shouldn't be sung. It is wrong. Because if it was calling for white people to be killed, if it was calling for gays to be killed, lesbians, if it was calling for Jews, blacks, there would be major uproar, right? It would be like, oh my word, it would take over the news. Everybody would be criticizing the people that sung it. Like, there would be huge uproar, right? So why aren't we doing the same for the Boers? Why are the Boers different? And you can say what you want, and you can be like, oh, but because of apartheid or the history or whatever. Just because South Africa has a terrible history when it comes to certain aspects of the history, like apartheid and all this stuff, doesn't mean that the generation of today needs to suffer because of mistakes made in the past. I mean, we will never grow as a species and as the human race if we keep on holding on to this, if we keep on holding on to the past, right? We need to move on. We need to put our differences aside. We need to come to some kind of agreement, of peaceful means to live together. This whole jumping down people's throat and criticizing one another and not being tolerant of people's opinions and ways of life is a problem. And for the most part, a lot of people are tolerant, and a lot of people don't care what you do in your life. They don't care about your sexual preferences, as long as it doesn't impede on, like, my life, right? I don't care what you do in your personal life, right? I'm interested by most cultures. I respect most cultures. I respect most religions, all religions. I respect people, right? But then I expect that respect in return. The moment you start telling me to live a certain way, that's when I'm like, okay, no, this is not how it should be. And again, to call for the killing of a group in a song is not being respectful to your fellow man. If anything, it's barbaric, ridiculous, and should be frowned upon. And I think for the most part, most South Africans, if not all South Africans, or close to all South Africans, do frown upon it. Because even though the ANC is 10%, remember, it's 10% of the voters that actually voted, which is actually a very small amount of people. It's like 1 point something million, if that. So 1 odd million people out of 66 million population. That's tiny, man. The EFF don't have power. They're just loud. That's all. So I do have faith and hope in the justice system that, this appeal will be worth it and will get the right outcome, as it should be. But bringing it back to what Theo says here, it is alarming. It is alarming that, you can draw, you can still, there's no arguing that if that's the case, he's saying, since that judgment was made, these are the amounts of killings that have happened. And also, Ian did confirm that there are more killings this year than last year in the same time frame. Again, difficult to say that it's related to the judgment, but I'll leave that up for you guys to interpret as you will. So yeah, dangerous thing either way. This song, and it shouldn't be allowed. Just like you shouldn't say the N word, you shouldn't say the K word, and you shouldn't sing about killing certain groups of people. I mean, we as a species should be better than this. So yeah. Let me see. We should be way past this by now. How do you move past something if it's thrown up in your face constantly? That's a good question. It's a good question, man. Just keep on moving. Sometimes you can't convince others of a argument or opinion or truth because they refuse to see it. They've been so indoctrinated by truth or what they think is truth that there's no changing their minds. And sometimes you just got to turn the other cheek and move on and find people who are like-minded and will. And again, like, remember, the people that throw it up in your face are either EFF people, ANC people, or wokies, or media. And while they might be loud, they are not the overwhelming majority of South Africa. The overwhelming majority of South Africa is conservative. They believe in, as Sigley says, the faith, flag, and family. And I believe that. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've experienced it. Most South Africans are the kindest, sweetest, best people I have ever encountered. And I really do love South African people. There are a few, obviously, that are questionable. Like I said, the wokies. But for the most part, I think people are starting to get hurtful anyway of this politicking and these issues. And again, it's only really the wokies that are crying. So yeah. Helen, good to see you again. Thank you for tuning in. She says, just don't do stuff that hurts others. Exactly. Sorry, but I'm all out of cheeks. Okay. That's a good one. Yeah, look, I mean, I'm patient to a point, right? Like, I just avoid people. It's like I said, sometimes you just can't change people's mind no matter how hard you try. So whatever. But at the end of the day, I think morally correct will prevail. I think that's what's going to happen. It has to. Otherwise, our humanity is done for. At some point, someone has to be like, come on, guys, this is getting ridiculous now. But again, I mean, EFF only has like 10% of the vote, and it's so small. It's so freaking small, guys. So they're just loud. Don't worry about it. They're will they ever be in power? I don't know. It's up for debate. But it's not that you shouldn't worry about them. You should. But I don't think they are the main problem in South Africa. Let me put it that way. So yeah. Anyway, we've got about 10 minutes until Herman Roos joins us, where he will explain why you should not be worried about EWC, or it should be the last worry on your mind. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Herman Roos joining me in about 10 minutes. It's going to be exciting to chat to Herman again. I haven't chatted to him in a while. Local South African tobacco farmer, but he farms other things as well, mainly tobacco. So yeah, do go, or I am looking forward to this conversation. Gavin and Voot giving the link to my open mic night. So thank you guys so much. Please do go check it out if you're interested in some open mic night. You can also sign up, ladies and gentlemen. You can get your 5 minutes of fame if you're in the area. But yeah, it's up to you guys. You want to pull through or not this Friday evening. All right, so thank you, Gavin, for giving Herman Roos his YouTube channel. He does have a YouTube channel. All the links in the description, by the way. Herman's Twitter, all that stuff is in there. Sorry, I had to take a bit of a sip. I see a lot more people are coming on. So ladies and gentlemen, just be patient as we wait for Herman Roos to join us. We'll go on a quick break, in a few moments, while I get set up, and Herman will be joining us momentarily to chat about why EWC should be the least of South Africa's worry at this stage. I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. We have a lot to talk about, and I think it's very important stuff that he's bringing to this conversation. So yeah, I'm only funny if you can't see me. Okay. So yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I see quite a few people have tuned in, so don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to subscribe if you haven't yet. More conversations coming up. Like I said, Mark Oppenheimer will be on the show later on on Monday. And then, of course, if you are feeling generous, please spare a super chat or Sasa chat. You can do so by clicking the super chat icon. And if you're watching this after the fact, you can give a super thanks or Sasa thanks when this live stream is done and you're watching this after the fact. Or you can become a member, ladies and gentlemen, have exclusive perks. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you do become a member, you support me constantly every month for just $60. You get some nice exclusive perks. And yeah, you get to support me, man, a struggling comedian in South Africa. And of course, as I said, you can subscribe. That's always free. And don't forget to also like the stream as well if you really like it. It'll be greatly appreciated as well. So Gavin also giving it. Thank you. And we got a Joan Vermeulen. I hope I pronounced that right. Says, hi, Joe. Hi, Joan. Thank you for tuning in. So, yeah. It's great to see you, man. Or girl. Sorry, I don't know. Non-binary? I'm kidding. So, have I seen this name before? I don't think so. So thank you so much for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. Okay, cool. So, what else? While we wait for Mr. Herman Roos to join us, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to check out the links in the description where you can follow my journey. You can become a member. You can go to my website. What else? There's other links there. Just check them out. Oh, and there's also links to Herman's stuff as well. Herman has a YouTube channel. You can go give it a sub. Although I don't know if it's very active, but still support him. And of course, thank you, Gavin, for the 70 Rand super chat. It's greatly appreciated. And he says, okay, Joe Emilio, here's the Sasa money. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. See you guys. Easy as that. Super chats goes a long way to supporting the channel. So thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I see Herman is in the green room at the moment, so I will just take a quick break, probably less than 5 minutes, and we'll be back with Herman Roos, ladies and gentlemen, to tell us why EWC should not be or should be the least of our worries in South Africa. It's going to be a very, very interesting conversation. I'll be back shortly with Herman Roos, ladies and gentlemen, after these short words. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's break time, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about becoming a member to this channel. So why should you become a member to this channel? It's a great question. You're gonna get a lot of exclusive perks. I mean, if I have a one-man show, for example, you're gonna get up to 50% off on the tickets. You get exclusive access to the Joe Emilio Show WhatsApp group. You also get access to other things, ladies and gentlemen. If you wanna know more, go to the join button at the bottom of this video to see all the information on becoming a member. At least subscribe to the channel. If you like what you're seeing so far, subscribing is always free. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the show.
Don't wanna sleep.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Joe Emilio Show. I'm your host, Joe Emilio, and as promised, I have with me here Herman Roos, who is a local South African tobacco farmer.
Just shift the camera. Okay, cool.
There we go.
Just the camera.
No worries. But ladies and gentlemen, as I said, Herman
Well, I
is
should
here with
just,
us. As he adjusts himself. Herman, how are you doing, man?
I'm well, Joe. Just had a hectic day out, so nothing abnormal on the that's not part of farming. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to tonight's show, to be quite honest.
Yeah, me too, man. I've been looking forward to it ever since we arranged for it. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but I've definitely, gotten a lot of interest because, you told me, EWC Bill should be the least of our worries. And you explained to me why, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to explain to people why. But maybe we should start there. So the EWC Bill was passed through last week. And you as a South African farmer say, least of our worries. Take it away.
Sorry, guys. Joe, yes. First of all, I think we should differentiate in South Africa between hype and what's going on in reality. A lot of people, sorry, I just want to open the chat so that I can see if somebody's asking questions. There's a lot of political hype around a bill, and a bill is nothing what it is. It's a law that was passed, a law that can be contested in court, a law that can still go to the Constitutional Court. So I'm not really stressed about it at this stage, although before everybody grabs their pitchforks and their tars and feather, yes, this is dangerous because it does show us the intent of what the ruling party wants to do in South Africa. But, and this is the big but, we as farmers in South Africa currently have much bigger concerns facing us in the short term than a law and a bill that was passed last week that, as I said, can take years to implement. First of all, yes, the bill can be interpreted in so many ways. We must understand that December comes December, it is the ANC's Congress. 5 years ago, they were given a mandate and they were told to implement EWC. Up until now, they couldn't change the constitution. So we must understand that this thing is politicking. It is utmostly politicking from the ANC side. And I think if you read most of the skus nou vang my Afrikaans my media statements from people, that basically it boils down to yes, it's dangerous, but it is politicking, and this thing can still go to Constitutional Court. What we as farmers are currently facing, and this is the first thing I want to actually talk about tonight, and I'll constantly refer back to EWC, so people should understand. Eskom at this stage is a much bigger threat.
And because of load shedding, obviously.
Jim, I don't think the viewers out there understands the impact of load shedding on the agricultural sector. To give a simple idea, if it takes you 4 hours to wet your garden, to irrigate your garden in town, that's a small piece, right? For me to irrigate 20 hectares takes 48 hours. That's to put down 20 millimeters. Takes 48 hours. Now, with power cuts in between, that 48 hours of 20 millimeters irrigation becomes 72 hours. All right. So I'm losing a day of irrigation every 3 days. And eventually I'm running out of time to irrigate my crop and I'm getting damage on my crop. And South Africa, most of our production, winter wheat happens under irrigation. This is now becoming a serious problem and it's harming crops. A farmer that would have harvested between 6 and 7 tons of wheat might now harvest between 4 and 5 tons. And at the current price of a ton, that he's losing 14 to 21,000 rand.
Yeah, which is not well, it's a lot of money, which I'm sure the farmers need. So, but that's with wheat. What why don't you? Does it also affect your tobacco? Because I know you're a tobacco farmer. So how does it affect you?
Every crop. The reality is, I'm just referring to wheat now because we are now in a very dangerous part of our wheat production. The vegetable farmers are being affected by this. So your fresh veggies on the at the shop is now also seriously affected by this, and everything that needs water is affected by load shedding. It's costing money because eventually we end up implementing expensive methods to just keep our crops going. We're spending more money to keep our crops from and keep our crops surviving, just to survive.
Yeah, and
And this is detrimental.
sorry, if you spend more money to keep your crops going, that means your costs go up, which means all up the food chain in a way, the prices keep going up as well for the consumer.
That's the thing, and eventually, um, everything is offset to the consumer, and that offset is what's raising the inflation basket. Uh, we we talk about inflation being at 6.5, 7%. Inflation in reality is actually much higher in South Africa. And I know there's a lot of people saying out there, yeah, but it's the basket of what the everyday person uses. Yes, but the inflation that we have experienced as farmers in South Africa is closer to 14%. So eventually that will be offset through the value chain to you as a consumer in the end. And the major thing is people can't eat less.
Yeah, that's also true. And you know, something that I noticed in the shops. I don't know if you would know anything about it, but basically for the past 2 weeks, maybe it's changed now. I haven't been to shops in 2 days, but for the past 2 weeks, I've been trying to find French fries that you get in the packets that you can freeze and then you fry it later in the oil or air fryer, whatever. Those seem to be really out of stock. I've been to Checkers Hyper, I've been to Checkers near me, I've been to Pick and Pay, I've been to Woolworths. They only have sweet potatoes, like sweet potato French fries. They do not have the normal straight cut French fries, and that feels like there's a problem now with potatoes or something. I don't know. Is there a problem in the agriculture with potatoes? Is it happening?
Um, Joe, I can't say for a fact that there is something wrong in the potato industry. What happened a year ago or two, just as we started exiting lockdown, there was a huge production problem in the potato industry. So if this is what the people are experiencing, is the lag on effect of what happened in lockdown. Um, I can't say. I'm not clued up on the potato industry. If there's potato farmers tonight or people that is much more clued up, can explain to me. But like everything else, there's a lag effect
Okay.
before you as a consumer start experiencing things, and this is what makes agriculture in South Africa um, actually the most important component as a primary production. The domino effect. Um, when we entered lockdown, major businesses were closed down. They felt the immediate effect of lockdown. I don't know if you remembered, I spoke just during lockdown with the tobacco thing. I spoke to Ramon and German U, and I said the domino effect is going to be very, very slowly. It's going to happen fast, click, 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 and then it's going to slow down and slow down, slow down. Agriculture is the last brick. Your primary industry is your last brick to fall. But unfortunately, as the momentum starts slowing down, it's also transferring energy. And we are now experiencing in the agricultural this lagging effect or this domino effect. We can see that worldwide political movements, decisions that was made 2 years ago, now showing in the agricultural industry regarding price rise in prices. If you take a simple thing like cooking oil, a year ago cooking oil was for 2 liters 30-40 rand. It's now between 80 to 100 rand a liter, if I'm correct. um, so we must understand that whatever you experienced 2 years ago in lockdown, we are starting to get the ripple effect or domino effect now, only now in the agricultural sector. Unfortunately, this thing is like a hula hoop. What comes around goes around. And whenever we start failing, you as a consumer, you as a South African will immediately feel the brunt.
And so the effects that you're experiencing now, for example, with load shedding, is this something that the consumers will only feel in maybe a year's time?
Joe, I do believe we're going to feel, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, there are economists that do not agree with me. I call them fair weather economists, and yeah, let's call them fair weather economists. Yes, I think we're going to feel it faster. The consumer is going to feel it faster because as we are, as farmers, are becoming more and more under pressure with our profit margins being cut, we have to start uh, forcing basically our buyer to pay us a higher price, or else we will be out of the game. So if we start asking the buyer 20 rand today, he paid 15 rand yesterday, the buyer, um, the shop will immediately increase its price that same day. So whatever price increase we as farmers have today, you will see it immediately tomorrow on the shelves. That is unfortunately how the system works. Although, as I said, the impact of what started 2 years ago is only catching up with us in the agriculture sector now, regarding fertilizer, regarding chemical compounds, regarding a lot of things. But another thing with Eskom, and that's where we should actually start digging our heels in. Why do I, as a farmer, pay a day rate on renting the pole? Because we pay a pole rent directly to Eskom. We are not contracted by a municipality. But in a month, I'm off for 10 days. cumulatively put the hours together, 10 days out of a month, I'm without power. Why do I have to pay that amount? And still, because I've lost 10 days of production effectively out of 30 days, I have to recuperate that money somehow.
And I guess it's not viable for farmers to get like solar or generators and such. It's going to be too expensive, I imagine. It's going to add to your costs.
Joe, I'm running a generator here, because, and that's not for my irrigation. To run a 45 kilowatt pump, and that's one of my pumps. To run that thing, I need a 100 kVA generator just for that pump. That thing swallows 20 liters of diesel an hour. So do the math. Do the math. That thing costs me to run
Yeah.
480, 500 Rand an hour to run. Whereas Eskom would have costed me maybe between 80 and 100 Rand an hour.
Yeah.
On that same pump. So cost effectively wise, it's not that effective. The problem with solar, and that's the major thing, I cannot put up a battery system. To put up a 200 kilowatt battery system that can give me a 12-hour supply with a solar system that's equivalent of the amp hours to charge those batteries and give me enough power to run will cost me nearly 25 mil.
What? Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's not worth it.
Problem is not the solar panel. That's the thing. Everybody looking, oh, solar, brilliant, it's not that expensive. Yes, the solar panel is not the problem. That's the cheap part. The problem is the batteries.
Yes.
It's the inverters. Because the solar panel runs on DC, it needs to be changed over to AC. So there's inverters, there's transformers that's needed. So yes, during the day, I can get the solar panel system. It will cost us, I've got a quotation about 2 million, and it will supply me with about 75 kilowatts. All right, here's the thing with solar. During the best time of the year, when I need the energy from solar, we have rain.
Yeah.
So your, what we call your effective generation capacity on solar for an agricultural sector is currently not viable. We still need Eskom. And most of your solar units that you put up will supply power, but the moment Eskom goes off, it stops supplying power because it's a safety mechanism not to feed power into the grid or to cause electrocution when Eskom is off. So that is what people should start understanding. Green energy at this stage is not feasible or viable for the agricultural sector unless we can generate as farmers enough energy for our consumption during the day on the farm, plus a little extra, and sell that back to Eskom. That will start helping to take a lot of pressure during the day of the grid. But the problem is when the sun goes down, we don't have the capacity to generate. But still, South Africa needs energy at night. We still need to run our pumps at night.
Yeah.
Farming has now become a stage where we are literally 24 hours running our farms.
Yeah. Jeez. So you're working around the clock just to make up for the hours that you've missed, basically.
Oh, Joe, to give you an idea, I have I've employed a person that are working at night just to make sure that when the power comes back on, that the pumps are started. Remember, we work in a canal system. Most of South Africa's irrigation systems work in a canal system. So when we apply for water to have a certain amount of water for the week. If the power goes off, that water doesn't stop flowing. It still keeps on flowing into my dam. So I have to have somebody that checks that my dams don't overflow, that I cause damage to my dams. And when the power comes back on, I need somebody to start the pumps. So it's becoming a bit of a, a game that you play at night. Sleeping, sometimes it's not sleeping. Sometimes I have to be up at 1 o'clock the night, 2 o'clock at night, just to go and check did my employee do his job as he should.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting tough for farmers, and the next topic I want to talk about as well, which actually was it's a question from Voot, which I mean we were going to talk about this anyway. Was he asks Herman Roos, how is the world fertilizer supply crisis because of the Ukraine conflict affecting South African farmers? This is you wanted to touch on the fertilizer situation.
Yeah.
I have that article that you sent me.
Please, can you please put it up? This is
Yes. Well, it's not an article.
guys
It's
should
more of
realize
a press release, I think.
statement. It's a media
Yeah.
statement from Yara.
Yes. I'm just going to also pop you up here. Give me a second.
Okay,
There we go.
no problem.
Circle.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go.
Well,
Yeah.
I think, and we must just state this very clearly, Joe, that this is an official statement from Yara on their website,
Yes.
and this is not a hoax.
Yeah. No, it's on their website. There's the news media. I can still go back. This is Yara at the top here.
Yeah.
There we go. This is their official thing. I mean, I can.
Yeah, official website. Now, what people should realize, Yara is one of the next to Omnia and a few other. There's another company, but Yara has plants in Italy, Sweden, Germany, and France. And I see now, actually, this from March 22. There's an August statement as well, and the August statement says 4 million tons of nitrogen fertilizer. This was at 45% capacity in March. They're now up to 60%, 80% capacity curtailing. And that is basically due to the gas supply being cut off to Europe from Russia. And the reason people don't understand is gas is needed for the production of nitrogen. And one of the byproducts of nitrogen manufacturing is CO2. Now, that CO2 is one of the most cleanest CO2s, and that CO2 is being used in the medical industry for cleaning instruments, safekeeping, and also for cool drink, gas in your cool drink. Now, what this will happen if they curtail 4 million tons of ammonium nitrate, which is one of the bases for most of your nitrogen fertilizers. It's not ammonium nitrate. Sorry, I'm wrong with that. It is, anyways, I'll get to that. But the impact this will have on the world. Now, look, Europe will look after itself first. So whatever these companies will produce will first go to Europe. Now, Europe is in trouble with nitrogen. They don't have a sufficient supply of nitrogen. The United States already said, listen here, guys, we'll supply your shortage of fertilizer that you guys need. Now, where does South Africa fit into this little box of theirs? Where do we fit in? We're a small little, we're not even a drop in the bucket for them. And that is what we are concerned about now. What will be the short-term effect on the lack of because these guys, the big fertilizer producers in Europe, had to cut their production? What does our future look like with fertilizer? I've already heard along the grapevine, though, that's been said that those farmers that should buy up the fertilizer. Hang on. How many farmers in South Africa is able to buy up 50% of their fertilizer usage for the year? Less than.
Yeah,
Less
because
than 5%.
I mean, that's super expensive to do that.
Expensive. Ugh, don't even touch it. A year ago, urea, which is one of an ammonium nitrates, or um, urea, for instance, was 7,000 rand a ton. Urea is now 14,000 rand a ton. Mono ammonium phosphate, MRP or MAP. It's called. I think I'll type it quickly in the so that people will see. They can go and Google it. MAP. Um, that was about 8 grand a ton. MAP is or MRP is now 1,000 rand a ton. Potassium sulfate. Potassium sulfate, a very important part of our production. We're talking 24,000 rand a ton. Potassium sulfate was a year ago between 9 and 11,000 rand a ton, doubling in the price.
So on top of load shedding that has its own now new expenses for you, you also have this fertilizer issue that is actually driving up your costs again. Correct?
Yeah, for the past year, it's been driving up our costs. And the problem is, whenever we do get fertilizer, we try and buy it out. But here's the thing, Joe, and I'm going to type this in the chat because I don't think people know or understand. So I'm going to type this and you can put it up on the screen. And this is the amount of debt that is currently in the South African sphere, in the agriculture sphere alone. That is the amount of debt.
So
You can put it up on the screen.
so just in the agriculture sector, this is how much is owed.
That's a owed in debt. You can put that one up on the screen.
Yeah, it's there. It's
250
billion.
billion
Yeah.
of debt in the agricultural sector. Just think, what if we have to withdraw that amount of money from our economy? What that will do, the bank system, the private sector.
And the debt just keeps on piling, I'm assuming. It's not getting less.
This is production cost and farms that's being paid off.
Yeah.
This is the whole package
Yeah.
of debt that's currently in South Africa.
Sure.
Ja, 250 miljard, dis in Afrikaans. The total package of debt in South. Now, Joe, let's take, and now I'm getting back to the EWC question.
Yeah.
We've now touched base on a lot of things, and there's one thing I think we should still touch base on, and that's grey listing.
Yes, we will.
This is the amount of debt that we sit with in South Africa in the agricultural sector, right? 250 billion. All right. If this bill was as serious as some, and I'm saying this, there are people out there using this for political gain and some people for clicks. And yes, take out your pitchforks and tar us and feather and tar and feather me. Wouldn't the banks have started making a lot of noise? Now, only 50 billion of that amount is land bank. The rest is private banks. Wouldn't we have heard the banks start making a lot of noise? Have you heard any banks making a lot of noise this week?
Mm-mm.
They all know that there's enough opposition in South Africa to this EWC bill and act that passed. This thing can still go, will go to the Constitutional Court. We have the IRR, we have AfriForum, we have Solidariteit, we have the Freedom Front Plus, and we have the DA. A lot of opposition. You want to tell me between those, all the opposition, we won't have somebody that will fight this up until the end. We will. And that's the thing. And the banks are keeping quiet because I won't make any noise now to have my position in this market affected. Because I really don't want the banks to make too much noise because I might need some to borrow money from the banks tomorrow. So once again, getting back to the EWC, that's why I'm not concerned at this stage about a bill, an act. It's not been enacted yet. So sorry, guys, I'm scratching my nose. There's a lot of pollen in the air. So sorry, Joe, about that.
No
I'll ask
worries.
your viewers. So looking at all of this, is the immediate threat to food security in South Africa? It's Eskom. It's a police minister that doesn't want to actually do his work. The fact that are experiencing a humongous upsurge in prices within the agricultural sector for input costs. And there goes my video.
No, you still with me?
Jesus, sorry about these.
I can still see
the
you.
internet is. Yeah. So all of this is currently our immediate future a problem, right? We still have our own security that we have to care about. Our workers' security, and all of this start piling up. So people should look holistically at what is going on around us. The pinch you feel at the pet pump, the pinch you feel when you go do shopping. If you buy a potato today for R5 and tomorrow it's costing you R7, that exact same pinch we are feeling in the agricultural sector. But we must be depressed about this, at least, and lucky enough for that. We still have organizations like the Southern Africa Agri Initiative, Dr. Theo de Jager and his team from SAI fighting for us, AfriForum out there, the DA, the Freedom Front Plus. There's a lot of guys out there still fighting for us. But you as a consumer are going to pay the price in the end.
Yeah. You mentioned now food security, and I think we'll end the discussion on that topic, because first I want to also, for those who may not know, South Africa is at the verge of being grey listed, which I didn't even know was a thing until I saw that article. Can you maybe explain to the people that are listening what exactly does it mean for a country to be grey listed, and how does this impact the agriculture sector?
Joe, I'm going to give my understanding of this, and please, if the economists in this or listening to this, don't kill me. Grey listing means that your government is at such a state that investing into the government or the country is a risk because of corruption. And what this will cause is we'll become less desirable for investment opportunities into South Africa. And it will also bottleneck foreign currency flowing into South Africa and flowing out, because there are checks and balances that I could understand from, I spoke to economists. There's certain checks and balances. So every rand and cent and dollar will be checked flowing in and out of South Africa. And the major reason for that, and people are missing this thing, grey listing, this will have an immediate effect on our markets. Because if you take multinational companies that are listed on the JSE, companies that has foreign currency flowing in and out. Now, let's go back to the agricultural sector. Companies like Yara, companies like Makashima Gun, Bayer, Monsanto, all of these companies, multinational companies who holds a stake in South Africa, are now going to struggle to have their foreign currency move in and out of South Africa. And what will be the effect if the rand suddenly starts? And that's the lookout. We're already at 17 rand 50, 18 rand to the dollar. If we are grey listed and our market, the people don't see South Africa as a great investment opportunity, then the fair weather economists are lying to us. By January next year, we'll be seeing 21 Rand. And I can't remember who it was from the IRR who said, I'm not sure who was it, that actually predicted this from happening a year ago. And everybody said he's crazy. And
Probably John
now
or
it's becoming a
someone.
reality.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, I'm actually trying to read a bit of what's going on in the chats here.
Well, Behave, I think, Behave is very good. Well, he's, I don't know if he's an accountant or something. I mean, he's always been good with math, and he's a frequent viewer of this channel. I don't know what exactly it is
Yeah,
he does, but
yeah.
he says that grey listing is not just because of fraud or corruption. The grey listing is due to high risk of defaulting on debt, and has shown a track record
Very good.
of defaulting on debt regardless or reason.
So
So yeah.
basically, we're combining two things here. And if that is the problem, defaulting on debt, what will happen? I'm asking the viewers here, what's the impact that we're going to experience?
Yeah. So I think basically it's similar to like when, you know, if you were to take a loan from the bank as a for your personal use or maybe even a business, and you don't basically pay your debt back, you get blacklisted. But in
Yeah.
this case, a country gets gray listed. I'm sure the country can also be blacklisted, but this is like a very serious warning, I'm assuming. And like you said, if we're not desirable, ironically, this is on the heels of President Cyril Ramaphosa going to Biden and saying that he's going to Cyril said to Biden that he's going to try and make South Africa more environmental friendly for investors. I don't think that's happening, but regardless, more, like you said, more investors are, or companies will leave because they're like, well, we're not going to get our shit back, so that's a problem.
Here's the Joe. Here's the thing. All right, our harbors are currently in such a state that the South Africans farmers are struggling with citrus to export their citrus. All right. Whereas then you go just across the border into Mozambique in Maputo and you see the upgrades that's being done to that harbor. It's going to make Durban look like a kindergarten if they're done with that harbor. You see, now you start to see people are foraying, or rather going into Botswana, Zambia, Tanzania, Malawi, even, and Mozambique. And Angola. Angola is becoming a more desirable investment opportunity because you're paying 6, 7 Rand a liter of diesel for fuel in Angola. So the best of the best, and that is what's currently happening in the agricultural sector. The best of the best are leaving South Africa for better opportunities outside of South Africa. The typical brain drain. We had a thing maybe 30, 40 years ago where when 10 youngsters left the farm, 6 or 7 would have come back after school or after graduating. They would have come back to the farm. Some of them would have been engineers. Some would have been fitters and turners. Some would have been mechanics. We brought a lot of industry um, intelligence and knowledge back to the agricultural sector. Now, today, it didn't change. 10 youngsters are still leaving the farm. We're lucky if we get 2 of those youngsters coming back. And usually it was those like me who were too bloody naughty at school to learn or university. We didn't want to learn. So it's better off to go and work for dad or farm. So the reality is we're losing a huge amount of intellect out of our industry. And that is more concerning for me at this stage than a freaking bill that was passed a week ago.
Well, it's it feels like the ANC is in a way attacking the agriculture sector in many different levels or aspects, and at the same time you have this fertilizer issue, which is an international problem that's also now causing pressure on you guys. And then, of course, like you touched on it earlier, Begete not doing his job, the police minister not protecting the farmers at all. We've got farm attacks happening all the time. You yourself, you work on patrol in your area. You're a medic when you do patrol, and I've seen some of your stories. And, so not only are you farming and trying to earn a living and provide food for the country, you're also trying to protect your own land because the government has failed to protect you. So that's also, I'm assuming, out of your own pockets, it's petrol to patrol. It's petrol. It's all that stuff to protect your family. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, everything we do for our community is out of our own pocket. So yeah, but what do I do? If and Joe, the major thing for me is, yes, we have all these negative things piling up, but if I cannot stand my ground and try and make a difference, it's better for me to sell my property, pack up my bags, and leave for Australia or the United States. And you know what? The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Their problems, we have our problems. But if you're listening to this tonight and you tell me it's dark and we cannot make a difference, we still have good people in this country. We still have people out there that's still willing to stand up and say, you know what? No. Even if you greylist us, even we have problems with Eskom, yes, it's cutting my production. I will still stand. I'm still going to fight to have you fix Eskom. We're going to put pressure on you via different organizations. The Even if President Ramaphosa lies to Biden to pull their own pockets again, because I don't believe the money that they're going to get from green investment is going to see green investment. It will just be another RDP house project. Probably a few RDP houses with solar geysers and a solar panel, but yeah. um, the thing is, we cannot sit still. Within your community, if you're sitting at home or on your farm and you want to tell me that it doesn't help you getting involved in your community, believe me, pack your bags, sell your farm, and go to Australia. Because there's some of us that's still here tonight. Some of us will still see the future. Yes, the dark future. But you know what? The sun will come up tomorrow morning again. We will have it. We hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and hope for the best.
Yes. Well, I got two things to add to that.
With all this,
sorry.
we can easily get.
Sorry. I got two things to add to that. One,
No, continue, please.
with your saying that you said, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's I heard someone say the other day, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it, which I think really changed my perspective on the whole, trying to get out of the country. Yes, when shit hits the fan, have a backup plan. I mean, Herman, you could always come to the independent, Republic of Cape Town when the time is right. So I mean, it's not too far. You visit this country every now and again. But it is true. We often hear guys like Roman and other people on YouTube, South African YouTubers, say, get to know your community, build a community, protect yourselves, create those enclaves to protect yourselves. And I think the inevitable of the state collapse is happening. and you will only have those around you to help you survive it. So on that note, yes, I think you can survive in South Africa. Let's face it, not everybody can leave this country. It's expensive. It's a tall order to ask. I know what it's like to move countries. It's not easy at all, but you can survive here, definitely. And just to also touch on the final thing that we wanted to talk about is food security. You told me something, and this is one of the reasons why you're not too worried about EWC Bill. You told me that food security it should be our first worry, not anything else but that. And in a way, everything we've spoken about tonight relates to that. But I'm going to ask you a very specific question. Do you think we are going to run out of food soon? Is it a year thing? Is it a 2-year thing? 5-year
No,
thing?
not yet.
Okay.
Joe, remember, and this is what we must understand. Again, all of these things I talked about tonight that we touched on to, it's a domino effect. I said it in the beginning. Even with us and with food security, it's not going to go and the lights are switched off. Um, and suddenly there's no food. It's going to be a gradual process. Um, Even within Zim, when they started confiscating the farm, the lack of food wasn't the one day there was still bread and the next day it wasn't. No, gradual decline because we have silos all over South Africa. Forecast here is that we're going to have exceptionally good summer crops of maize. We have an exceptionally good winter crop. It seems like the Swartlander had good rain this year, and I'm really glad for those farms because of the drought 2 years ago. They couldn't produce proper wheat. So yes, we all have ship coming in. And what people must understand, South Africa is a net importer. All right. Some of the bread that you are eating is wheat from the Ukraine. Right. So our silos will be full. There will be a gradual decrease in availability of food. I can't put a time frame on it. It will all depend on how and what all plays out to be within the next year or two. What will be the tension between the West and the East currently? But food security is a thing that should be built in an upwards curve. Currently in South Africa, yes, we are in a downwards curve with our food security. And it's these stepping stones, these steps that we take one every time closer, closer. Eskom, maybe 5 steps. Uh, Fertilize, one step. Then certain things become unavailable, one step. But we will still find ways to produce. But in the end, it won't be enough. Farmers will start falling wayside. Um, People might start their jobs slowly, gradually. Might take 5 years, 10 years. It might happen in 2 years. We don't know. But be warned. Start supporting our farmers. Help us fight this thing. And just on that side, I see one of my people from my community is in it tonight, Elzan Furi.
Uh,
I'm really happy to see the people from my community being here. Yeah. So to get back onto topic. So yes, let us kick and shout about EWC. Yes, put it on the front page of every newspaper, every YouTube channel, TikTok, Facebook page. It's not going to make a difference. Rather start focusing and then start trying to turn this trend of our gradual decrease um, in our food security. One thing, and I want to mention this, and I'll give this to China. China has food banks. China has focused that by 2020 2030, they want to be independent, totally food independent. How the heck? 3 billion people. 3 billion people. That country has food banks in place. We have a few silos throughout South Africa. That's not a food bank. So we should start looking at that and rather start focusing on what is important. Start helping organizations like SAI, the Southern Africa Agri Initiative. You know what? You can join even if you're not a farmer. By joining them and helping them 150 Rand a month, you're actually helping us as farmers to have a fight, to have a voice. Because Dr. Tudor Jager has done an amazing job for farmers, representing us throughout the world. And help organizations that's willing to stand for us. And I'm saying straight, organizations prefer them. Are much more. The IRR, as I said, the DA, the Freedom Front Plus, pick and start getting involved. You might not feel the brunt of the food security, but believe me, when we get to that day that you will stand in line at the shop to be rationed, to receive just enough food, and you count your money, mark what happened in Germany in the 20s and late 20s, 30s. You know, start planting your own veg. Learn how to be self-sustainable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, well, again, those of you that can should try. It's not always easy depending on where you live, but there are ways and means of doing so. There's many people on YouTube that even if you live in an apartment, you can still grow your own crops and stuff like that. You just gotta Google. Google is your friend. There are many ways to do it, but yeah, it's. I think, Herman, you have painted a very good story to tell as to why South Africans shouldn't be worried about EWC. I'm still worried about it a little bit because there are some interesting clauses in the bill that, if they were to pass, would be problematic. I do have one question, though. Do you know if, because obviously now people are going to oppose it. I know the IRR is going to oppose it. I know AfriForum is going to oppose it. They've announced that. So that it is going to go to court. We know that. If the bill is in court, or however you want to phrase that, if it's in court, if they're battling it in court, does that mean the ANC cannot implement what is said in that bill? So they can't expropriate while it's in court?
I'm sure, Joe, I do not know the legal technicalities on it. I think we should get
Okay.
expert, a person knowledgeable in that to explain that to me. Explain that to us. So I don't know. I hope, as far as I know, I don't think you can enact a law if it's still contested in court. But yeah, look, we should be wary. Look, I'm not saying I'm not wary of the bill. It gave us a clear intention from the ANC side that they want to change the constitution.
Yeah.
All right. A law is the law, and a law can be interpreted in different ways, and it still needs to be, and a law still needs to be enacted by court, not by people. Right. We obey the law. The court power to enact, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, a law. So it's not going to be easy to take your farm. But yes, the red lights and warning should on for people. And this is a clear path, I think, that has been sketched for us on what the ANC intends to do. But did we expect less? This has been coming a long time. These things have been spoken about at the CODESA, when they were doing CODESA. This was on the table. We conveniently forgot that. We conveniently forgot that. We conveniently forget that the current crop of ANC leadership have been trained by Marxists, by communists. So all of those things, we conveniently forget that and think, oh, great, yeah, we have a democratic country. We should keep these things in mind. But once again, I get back to my point. Should I fear this bill? No. It gives me a clear intention of what's going to come in the future. Might, listen to me carefully, might. As long as we have good organizations and opposition parties that we support, then we have a chance to stop this thing from becoming a reality in South Africa. But if we sit at home saying it won't make a difference, yes, then in 2-3 years' time, we might have the constitution changed.
Yeah.
And we won't have any property rights.
And let me ask you a final question. If the bill does get passed, let's say, the fertilizer thing is now, that's a thing of the past. ESCOM fixes itself, which is highly unlikely, but let's just go hypothetically here. And everything else is slowly getting back to a financial stability for you as a farmer. And then ANC decides, cool, it's implemented, it's happening, it's now law, EWC is a thing. Are you going to stay or will you leave? Do you have a backup plan?
Joe, I always tell farmers, have a backup plan, not for yourself, but for your family. I have a little bit of a backup plan, but this plan is not for me, it's for my family. If they do change the constitution one day and they say now that all property belongs to the state, like what I'll probably leave. I'll probably take those skills. I'm not going to be one of those stupid ones and say I'm going to pick up my gun and shoot the living crap out of it. You know what? If you can shoot somebody else, they can shoot back. I'll rather go and take my skills to another country, to other people which is deserving of it, and which will accept my skills, and rather go and build in a new country then. So yes, in a way, maybe not. I'm not sure at this stage. I will see. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of a backup plan. I would suggest to many South Africans, if you can, where you can, have an offshore investment. If you can, not all can afford it, even if it's small, but that reinsurance that you, should something ever happen, that you can get your family out.
Yeah. Man,
That's for me is the most important people in my life. Is my family. My son and my wife are the two most important.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I agree with that 100%. Always have a backup plan. Even if that backup plan involves you staying here. Okay, well, what is that? Like, are you going to border yourself up, protect yourself, get the community together, like I said, enclaves, and you decide, cool, we're going to protect each other at all costs to keep our house, to keep whatever, and protect one another. If that's the case, then so be it. I try not to encourage people to leave South Africa because, like you said, Herman, there is a brain drain happening at the moment, and there is opportunity. As glim as it looks, there is opportunity everywhere. And look, Cape Independence is coming. We're gonna be fine.
Joe, if we ran away for every little problem that we face every day within South Africa, you know what? Where to will we run eventually? Because
Yeah.
you will never stop running. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
to which country you go to. I have been privileged to have been to many countries.
Yeah.
You know what? In the end, my heart yearns back to South Africa.
Yeah.
The only place where I never felt that I wasn't welcome, that I still felt at home, was when I was traveling this continent. Wherever I travel on the continent of Africa, I never felt that I don't belong. Doesn't matter if it's Tanzania or wherever. This continent, once you have shed your blood and put your blood, sweat, and tears into this soil and ground, you know what? It becomes part of you. And that's an old African saying. We have paid with blood, sweat, and tears. We were born out of this soil. We will return to this soil. Doesn't matter where you are in this. So to do stupid things, um, when you say around the bra or place where you're drinking too much, saying stupid things and um, trying to encourage people to do stupid things, don't talk about war because you don't understand war. None of us have been in war, and I will never encourage it. I think it's a stupid idea. Rather focus on the positive things, the things that we can change to avert ever to avert a situation where people will be in trouble. But I have also seen human beings. We as human beings are resilient. Whenever we organically, people will migrate together. They'll start forming enclaves. We are already seeing it in South Africa. Security states. The formation of security in states is an organic reaction to law to areas where there's no law being implemented, police action. People are protecting themselves. We will move towards that, and I do believe Ron Kabanak is correct. We will move to that eventually, but it's going to happen gradually and it's going to happen organically.
Absolutely. And Ramon isn't the only one who says that. I should say, former CEO of IRR also said, not John Unger, sorry, Franz Cornier also
France, Korea,
mentioned enclaves as the future of South Africa. And you know what, Herman, we're running out of time. So on that note, I just want to leave you with a positive comment that came in from Rob Peters saying, "Good conversation, gents. Herman, I'm gonna read this in Afrikaans, but bear with me. Jy het goed in duidelik gepraat.
Put it up
Dankie."
on the screen, man.
It is on the screen. Dankie verfrissend. We have a heck of a lot to overcome in South Africa, and I sincerely believe we will. It was on the screen.
That's now Rob being bilingual. Hy het nou so 'n bietjie met jou brein gesmokkel daarso. So tussen die Afrikaans en die Engels en dit is goed Rob, ek hou baie van wat ek daar sien is to change between Afrikaans and English, Joe, lost on the last note. One of the things in South Africa I do encourage people is to not just be able to speak Afrikaans and English fluently. Jy moet nog 'n Afrika taal kan praat. As jy in die Kaap is, if you're in Cape Town, try and learn Xhosa. Up here in the north we speak Tswana or Fanagalo. It's never bad to learn an African language. And you know what? To bridge the cultural divide between the people is language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Language.
Yeah.
That's all from my side.
Yeah.
And Joe, thank you for having me on the channel. I know I'm saying goodbye now, but it's not how it works. But I do appreciate taking every time that you bring me on the channel to talk. So for me, it's very important. And I do hope that you can get in contact with Dr. Theo de Jager from SAI to bring also from his side a refreshing view, because he also has a very fresh view and a positive outlook on life.
Yes, I've had Theo before on the show. I think you got me in contact with him. So I'll reach out to him again and see if he's available for sure. But Herman, once again, dude, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. I'll definitely have you, as always, back again. Thank you for the update on the agriculture sector, at least from your point of view. And yeah, best of luck, my friend. Best of luck. I'm sure I'll be on your farm soon to experience the great outdoors once again, and much love to your family. And once again, thanks for your time, Herman.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Joe, and thank you to viewers.
All right.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Herman Roos from South Africa, South African farmer, explaining why EWC is the least of our worries. And I gotta admit, the man has a point. There are far more pressing issues at the moment that are affecting farmers and the agriculture sector specifically, and South Africans for that matter, that are just, it's compiling one on top of the other, and it is causing a very desperate time in South Africa. As Herman said, look, the outlook is bleak, but it could change. Food security is at risk at the moment, but who knows? Maybe in a year or 2 years it will change. But right now, he doesn't think the EWC is a problem. He thinks Eskom, the fertilizer issue, and the grey listing could be a far bigger risk to South Africa than a bill that would be contested in court, and it will be contested in court. I will have more guests on the show in the coming weeks to talk about the EWC bill. I'm going to get Advocate Mark Oppenheimer, on the show to chat about the EWC bill, as well as other issues such as the hate speech bill. We're going to talk about the judgment of Julius Malema with the assault charges, where he was found not guilty. We're going to chat about some other topics as well. That is happening next week, Monday. This Thursday is Comedians Roast the Headlines. Please tune into that. And if you're new to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe. That is free. Cyril Ramasaurus asking you to subscribe. If you're watching this after the fact, or you're watching this now, please don't forget to give a super chat, or Sasa chat as we call it. And also for Gavin for giving a Sasa chat earlier, thank you so much for the 70 Rand Sasa chat. It's greatly appreciated. Everybody, thanks for watching. I'm out for now. Don't forget to also like this video if you enjoyed it. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, especially new faces. I saw some new faces. Allison Johnson was here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We had Rob Peters. Thank you so much for tuning in. Elizon Ferry. Martinez was also here. Dylan, good to see you again. Mornay was also here. Thank you for tuning in. Rudy, thank you for tuning in. All of you, and obviously the normal guys, Gavin, Umlungo, Voot, Helen, thank you so much. Pete Buttons, thank you so much for tuning in. I saw you there. And everybody else who tuned in. Lars Solis also tuning in as well. Thank you guys so much. Helen saying, love Mark. Yeah, so you don't want to miss it on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. All right. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, from me. I'll see you on Thursday evening. But if I don't see you, stay safe, be kind to one another. And I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.